Nice to see you. How you doing?
Has anybody heard from Kristen? Has anyone heard from
She came
Kristen?
by today and did indicate she wasn't gonna be here. So I assume she's just running late.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start and we'll catch her up today, okay? This meeting, the Richlands Town Council will now come to order. And Kristen is here. We'll wait till Kristen gets up here. Thank you, Kristen. You're fine. You're good. Glad you're here. You're fine. You're good. If everyone will please rise for the invocation. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we're so appreciative of the opportunity to be here tonight to conduct the business of this town for the best interest of all the citizens. And we pray for your guidance and the wisdom that you can impart to us. We're thankful for this beautiful season always, and we pray for the benefit and the health of all those who are here and those who cannot be here. May it be blessed in your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, you should have your agenda and packets before you and several handouts. Wastewater treatment plant and system DVP improvements and wastewater treatment upgrades and other assorted things. So we shall begin. First, we have additions or deletions to the agenda. I think, John, you have a change.
You had a couple, and I'm just going to go ahead and pass you out a new agenda so you can visualize what changes I'm asking for. We have number 9 and number 10. Those are the 2 closed sessions. We will not need a closed session this evening, but instead of getting rid of those agenda items, I've added an IDA update from Philip Horton at number 9, and then a county economic development incentive discussion at number 10. So essentially, we're just getting rid of those 2 closed session lines and adding those 2 speakers and those numbers.
Okay, so the updated agenda for the benefit of the audience, members of council and those present. Roman numeral 9 has been changed to IDA update, Philip Horton, the chair, and Roman numeral 10 has been changed to county economic development incentive discussion, Tim Danielson. Okay, does that cover everything you need, John? Did members of the audience get that? And council chambers, thank you. Okay, are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Look to the right, look to the left. At this time, before we approve the agenda, I would like to ask those who are present who would like to speak in unscheduled public comments, which is a 3-minute comment period, to please raise their hand so we can acknowledge you. And for other question is there a sign-up sheet out front? Morgan, would you mind to hand that to me? So we'll have that, and then we'll make sure everybody's on the list. And thank you very much for your patience. We'll check the sign-up sheet, and then we'll take names from the audience. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate that. Okay. So this is for the public comment period. 3 minutes, and I'll read these names and add them first, and then we'll take other members who are here to be added. So we're looking at Roman numeral 8 and have Patricia Sparks. And council, you might want to pencil that in. Patricia Sparks. And we have Dana Altizer-Motes. Dana. And we have Morgan Earp. Okay, I'll pass that to the clerk for her record. And thank you, Becca, for keeping that. And now, are there other people present who would like to speak under the 3-minute comment period? I have Patricia Sparks, Dana Motes, and Morgan Earp. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Now's the time to let your feelings be known. Who is it? I'm sorry, I didn't see you. What is your name? Lonnie? Donnie Wade? Okay, thank you, Donnie. Let's add Donnie Wade. All right, thank you, Donnie. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to council tonight? This is the 3-minute public comment period. Am I overlooking anyone, members of council? Okay, I see no one else asking to be acknowledged for this. So we'll move back to additions or deletions to the agenda. We've had changes that John requested. We've had additions for unscheduled public comments. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay, there being no further changes, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Jeff makes the motion to accept the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
A second.
And Kristen seconds the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we will have a voice vote All in favor of passing the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Please record that. Thank you, Becca. Okay, next on the agenda is Roman numeral 5, the consent agenda. We have authorization to pay the bills for May. Minutes, regular meeting May 10th, public hearing May 24th, regular meeting May 24th. And C is to authorize a line of credit drawdown number 21 from the National Bank for water treatment plant upgrades and improvements for $19,546.36. Is there anything that someone would like to discuss before we have a motion on the consent agenda to pay the bills or anything?
I have some, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to find the
Is it on?
line item. This is on the receipts or the checks, check
Check
register.
register.
Yes.
Okay, let me get that, please. I got it. That's not. Okay, does everyone have the check register in front of them? Okay, Seth, your questions?
Okay. So I asked our town manager, he sent me this information over today. With the Gillespie Hart, Altizer, and Whitesville bill, this is the April town attorney's fees. It was almost $11,000. And I haven't finished going through it, but there's a breakdown of all the billing for that.
What check number is it, Seth?
Okay, it's 11865. It's on the small print,
11 what?
865.
Okay, I've got it. Thank you.
So, again, this is just another, I know we've talked about this previously, and I don't doubt that they're doing a fantastic job, but if this is going to be our average billing, we can hire a full-time attorney at less than it's costing us to do this. So, do you know how much we've paid this year? I know I'm just asking you randomly, but that's just through, so that would just be their bill through April. So that's 4 months of the year.
Oh, the month you're referring to, I looked at it, and 4,400 of that was the budget, trying to get the budget ready, which was some different things that we had to make sure we got in place, like the long one we had to read at the last
Sure.
meeting. And then about 2,200 was when we had 2 members of council resign. It kind of put us short, handed trying to figure that out, so that we had some unexpected expenses. I have the one just came in for May, and it's closer to what I think the average is about $5,700.
Okay.
So we've had a couple months where they were higher because something just unusual or out of the norm, or things that we like the budget, the time they spent on the budget this year. Now that it's in place, we won't have to do it next year. It'll just be an
Sure.
update. But yeah, it was definitely higher than what the average is for that month.
And I understand it, and we definitely have a need. You have to have a town attorney. But my thought process on this is, if you're going to spend this amount of money, then you're getting to the point where we can potentially hire a full-time town attorney and pay less money than we're paying out in this. And I don't know how much, do you know how much we budgeted this year for?
For the
Legal.
current year,
Yeah, I don't have my budget with me.
I think it's about 90. I think it was about 90. It was 125, and they took it down to 90. And I'm in full agreement with you. 3 years ago, we were paying $4,500 cap for attorneys monthly. At this rate, we're going to pay over $100,000 this year. So we should hire a full-time attorney if it's going to be like this.
Well, and I want you guys to know, I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just trying to make the comparison that, I think that the rate that they're charging us is in line. I don't see anything astronomical about any of that. I wish that I had been here when you negotiated it, because I probably would have asked for, if you exceed X amount of billable hours, in a month, you should get a reduction on that cost. Also, if it's one of the partners that's doing the legal work, maybe there's a rate for that if you get someone else. So I think there's a few things, maybe if you enter into another agreement like this, there's some things that you can look at to maybe save some money. And also a not to exceed amount. And if you're going to exceed that amount, then you need council authorization you know, if you know you're going to exceed, like, for example, this month, if they ran into this, and that's not going to happen every month, where they have to write the budget things and all that, I get it. But, you know, you have to have, there needs to be some figure in there where you say, you know, we're going to exceed 7,000 this month, or 6,000, or whatever it is, we probably should get approval for that. Just some thoughts from my perspective, and I think that it definitely warrants a discussion of whether or not we should hire someone full-time, because that person could do some other things. If they're on your full-time salary, they can also pick up some additional items. Just a thought.
My thoughts,
Go ahead, Dave.
I asked for that. I asked for caps. I asked for if it went over a certain amount. I was turned down by the whole council, but I brought up all those issues, and I was turned down.
There
And you
was
see,
only 2 members here when we interviewed them that night. I think it was Mikey and I,
well,
wasn't it? And Rod, when we discussed all this.
okay, as you remember, I brought up caps. You guys turned me down. I brought up, if it
Not
went
to
over,
not to them when they were here.
yes, I did. Yeah.
Doug, I'll
Yeah.
help you on that, or try to. Doug did mention about caps, and we had already interviewed the firm, and they stuck with what they had proposed, to put it in simple terms.
Yeah.
So it's just a thought going forward. I just wanted to mention that because I noticed this is my only item. And again, I'm not arguing with the rate they're charging or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is definitely something we should look at. Thank you,
And I
Mr. Mayor.
think we can take that to heart. And I do want to add, regarding your firm, you've been doing excellent work. It's not a reflection of your work, it's just purely economics.
I would add that too. It's nothing against your firm. I just think
I think that's the gist of the
Right.
conversation.
economically, we could have had someone with a cap of $4,500 a month and done all this work, and we turned them down from the grunt group.
Well, I wasn't here for that, and I don't know about that. But I do know that if you went the route of hiring a full-time attorney, you know, we could explore what the cost of that would be. But the benefit that we had in the county of having a full-time attorney on staff, and Daryl can tell you, is that they're covering other meetings, IDA, economic development. You know, you assign them duties, they're covering those duties. You kind of get a lot of bang for your buck by having somebody
An
40
in-house
hours a week.
attorney.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we definitely can consider. Probably, I would imagine it would be some kind of a work session that we would discuss those things. And that's my assumption. Maybe I'm wrong. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Thank you, Seth.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions about the consent agenda? We have 2 checkbook registers, minutes, and the authorization for line of credit drawdown.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Jeff has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Mike seconds the motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, Becca, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. So the consent agenda is passed. Next on our agenda is Roman numeral 6, wastewater project update and discussion. Rick Chitwood. Rick, would you please come up and speak your piece? And I would like to add, when I came in, there's always a little levity needed in every meeting. And I was recently given a whole lot of pictures of old Richlands, and I didn't recognize you in the picture, but it's definitely you.
Yeah, I had bright brown hair then.
Quite a handsome man, I might say. Thank you. As you still are.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to come tonight to update the council on both of the capital projects, your wastewater treatment plant upgrade and your water project. I handed out a little earlier to you a handout. I know several of the existing members on council were not present at the time when this started back in actually around 2017, 2018. And I wanted to give you a little history of where we are and how we got to the point we are tonight. I want to say for the first time in my 38-year career, I've never been at a point to what I want to discuss and get directed from the council tonight. I've never had this happen before. But in 2000, let's talk about the wastewater plant first. In 2019, we did a preliminary engineering report and submitted a funding application to the Department of Environmental Quality for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. At that time, the project cost was $10 million, and it's behind tab 1. $10,916,316. As we progressed and moved forward, and we got our funding offer from DEQ, they offered that amount of money to the town of Richlands for a 25-year term at 0.5% for 25 years. Simultaneously to that, we were doing your water treatment plant and your water system evaluations. At that time, when we submitted the funding applications, and I know y'all have heard this before, these funding agencies look at a lot of the community's ability to pay the debt payments. They look at your rates, they look at your overall budget, general fund, and a lot of things that come into play. And at that time, the town of Richlands' water and sewer rates were so low, they would not give the town principal forgiveness money. You did not qualify for disadvantage money. That's what they call, that's low interest or principal forgiveness or both combined. So at that time, I think shortly thereafter, the town hired a third party, Mr. Brown, Carl Brown, he's to do a rate study based off of your capital projects. He did that study and come up with some recommendations on the rates to pay your proposed debt. Well, I think you folks are going through that stage right now with raising your rates just to get to the $10.9 million budget for the sewer and the $3.8 million budget for the water. Once you got your rates, or you showed them that you were going to do those rates over a period of time, DEQ come back on tab 3 and reduced that $10,916,316 and offered you $2,734,864 in grant. Because your rates were going to be at that level, you are now considered disadvantaged community. Also, the water, the health department, offered you $3,889,000, and they looked at it and came back and gave you a $415,000 grant to reduce that loan amount because of your rates you plan to raise. So that's a little history of how it was going. And during this time frame, I had come to council a couple of times, and I shared with the council our concerns of seeing this cost escalation in construction just going up, and going up. And I think at the last time we gave an update, we had figured about a 35% increase in your construction cost, which added about $3 million to the project on the sewer plant and about $1 million on the water. Well, with that in mind, and that estimate is behind tab 4, it brought the revised total project cost for the sewer to $13,296,937. That's based off our estimated increase. Unfortunately, behind tab 5, we opened bids. There were 3 contractors that bid the work. English Construction, a very reputable contractor out of Lynchburg, Virginia, was the low bidder. at $12,653,797. When you look at that and look at your overall project budget, that puts you $4 million over the original funding offer. At that time, John and I called and met with DEQ and asked them, would they consider providing the additional funding to the town, and would prefer and like if they could provide it all in principal forgiveness grant, which I kind of doubted they would do that. Now, our bid documents have a 90-day award period. From the time you open the bids, the contractor has to honor that bid for 90 calendar days. So his bid was going to run out June 1st. We didn't get word back, I think it was till right at the June 1st date. We were in here meeting, me and Heather and John talked to DEQ, and they came back with another counter offer, and that counter offer was another $1 million in loan, right at $1 million, which was going to require another rate increase, and a $1,455,000 and change grant if the town would match that with the $1,455,000 grant from your, I call it your ARPA money, I think you call it something different now. So we went back to the contractor, and I knew by the time we got the bond council and all those folks on board to get that done, I went back to the contractor and asked him, would you give us 30 more days to get this worked out? Because his bid was going to run out. I think behind tab 7 is his email, and he turned us down. And he said he'd not be able to hold the price longer than the period required. He's already had received multiple notices from suppliers, price increases, and some contractors have the same. So we talked to the funding agency again, and to be frank with you, I'm just not man enough to stand here tonight and ask y'all to raise your rates again. I think the construction market is totally out of control. I think the supply and demand is killing everybody. I asked, and John asked, both funding agencies if they would hold your original offer of funding that they provided to you for another year, and let us try to get through for another year and try to re-advertise next fall. Is it going to be down by next fall? I don't know. I was telling Jeff earlier, I hope it's nowhere to go but down. I don't know. But I'm struggling right now. I know folks in town are just like everywhere else, are having a hard time buying gas and groceries and everything else. And you're faced with doing rate increases just to get the original offer. To move forward, you're going to have to do another rate increase. You're going to be faced every month with the contractors coming in, wanting more money, wanting delays. Like I said, the first time in my career, I've never been in a position like this. I just don't think, like I said, in my heart, I can ask the council to move forward with these projects right now. Now, I think we can get by another year. The high service pump at the water plant may be some issues, but I think they've replaced one. They could do it again, just save you some money or have you some money for any maintenance. I talked to the guys, Jimmy and them down at the sewer plant. He thinks they can limp through for another year, hopefully. But I'm here tonight to ask to get your directive, and if we move forward, I just want everybody to move forward with their eyes wide open, knowing what we're faced with, and know that each month that contractor is going to be coming in asking for more money and more time. And it's hard to fight that, right? And it's not the contractor's fault either. They can't get quotes longer than 15 days. So they're having to bid and bid high because to protect herself. But I just don't want, in your water, I want to mention in that handout, Kelly Ward, she is the lady in Richmond that's over the funding for the water projects. And if you, I thought she summed it up pretty well. If you'll look at your water DBT system, if you'll look behind tab 6, paragraph 2, her quote was, "Absolutely, we will honor our award. I understand and commend the two towns." Now, the town of Tazewell, I'm leaving to go there to talk to them too. "For at least exploring this option, the market has lost its ever-loving collective mind." And that's statewide. But Mayor, I'm fully prepared. I've got some draft letters behind these tabs. If you want to stop, you can issue a directive to have a letter draft to have us stop effective tomorrow, doing anything, put it on the shelf. Send a letter to the funding agencies, tell them you want them to honor your original loan, you'd like to revisit next year, or if you want to move forward, I'll try to get everything, but I cannot make any promises or with the contractors.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes.
I'm sure council will have questions and thoughts. To be clear, for my sake, if we don't move forward for a year, are you suggesting that we can make it with the water supply that we have?
I think so. I've asked our engineers, I've talked to Brad and them at the water plant. The only thing with the water project, we got a lot of tank painting. I think it could go another year. We got some new line we're putting in. The big thing there was the water plant was the backwash and then also the high service pump. But if that high service pump goes out, I think you could probably, it's about $100,000. I think the last one the town did themselves, but it may last another year. But that's a whole lot cheaper than where we are. And if you do it, then that would be one less thing when you do crank back up that you'd have to do.
Money notwithstanding, and of course it always is standing.
Yes, sir.
What about the quality and the safety of our drinking water for our
I
citizens?
don't think it will suffer one bit, Mayor.
That's a critical
I
question.
do want to commend all your staff, the water people and the sewer people. You've got that longevity out of those facilities because of their attention to maintenance and stuff. It's really got longer life than what you would see.
So you feel, no matter which way council directs, that the water that we're drinking and possibly will be drinking and using for the next year is safe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify, in any consideration, I think that's got to be number one.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Okay. Okay, council, thoughts on this demise, I guess you'd say, this particular situation that we're in. The floor is open. Council, would anyone like to speak?
I trust Mr. Chitwood's evaluation, and I'm for waiting because you know what you're doing
Yes, sir.
in my book.
Now, I do want to mention, Mayor, I know that the town has held in good faith some of your, again, I call it ARPA money.
It's okay. COVID money.
COVID money. You may want to hang on to some of that until next year if you need it. But I think the funding agencies, the more you can pay on it, the less you'll have to generate revenue for debt. But that's entirely another decision the council could have.
I appreciate that sentiment. Doug, you've expressed your thoughts. Does anyone else have thoughts on this?
I got a couple there.
Go ahead, Mike.
So let's say, for instance, nothing changes with the market in the next 12 months. What does that look like? What's worst case scenario look like?
I think the worst case would be the funding agency would probably want to come back and withdraw your money. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if they withdrew it, Mark, they would come back and realize it's not just Richlands and Southwest, it's all over the state. They give me an example, one up towards Charlottesville, the estimate was 67 million, it come in at 122 million. I think they would still honor those commitments. I can't help but believe in my mind, it may even get a little bit better if we slow this demand down, and there's not so much demand out there. We had 14 pre-qualified contractors, if you remember, 14, for both Richlands and Tazewell. They were pre-qualified with a knowledge of how to build wastewater facilities. Town of Richlands had 3 bidders. Town of Tazewell had 2. The rest of the contractors are loaded up, got work, and got a lot of work going on. So maybe if anything, Mike, it may slow down the construction some to where the contractors will get a little bit more hungry. So, but as far as the supply and demand, I wished I could look out that far.
Yeah.
Rick, I will add this. It's not surprising that this has happened, even at very small jobs around the home. Anyone who's done them knows that the cost has gone up exponentially.
Yes.
So, thank you, Mike. Did you have something
Yeah,
else?
just
you
one
wanna
more
say?
question, yeah. Risk factor for the maintenance of our current standing operation. Would you say that that is a low risk?
I'd say it's 50-50, Mike, because you're working right now on an extended life of your facilities.
Okay.
It's outlived its normal life with the mechanical and stuff. But again, I'll come back to your maintenance staff and your crew. They do excellent work and keep on top of it. But I think your high-ticket stuff, I think will be okay. When I say high-ticket, I'm talking $300,000 or $400,000 type stuff. Pumps, you may have a bearing or something like that, and a lot of parts in the sewer plant you just can't get no more. So Jimmy's done a good job eBaying and everything else.
Yeah, would you have a suggestion or recommendation in regards to how much money we should potentially set aside from what we call ARPA funds for additional maintenance needed within the next 12 months? Aside from what we should save for the actual project?
I would suggest $100,000 per facility.
Okay.
Now, I do want to mention this, and I'd be remorse if I didn't say it. John asked me a good question. In the backup of each one of these, I give you a detailed breakdown of our invoices to date on what we've charged the town for those projects. If you recall, y'all had to get interim financing to do that. These funding agencies will not close the loan on that until you actually award a construction contract. So you may have 2 options. You may talk to your bond counsel and see if they'll do a loan closing on just your upfront cost you got to date. Or if you'll talk to your local banks that financed it, see if they'll give you an extension on your time loan. But right now, they won't close it and reimburse you that money until you actually award to construction.
Thank you, Rick. Any other
I just have one more
comments?
question.
Go ahead, Mike.
That topic led me to another question. So if we put this on hold, the work that TNL has completed, are we at risk of repeating any of those costs?
No, sir.
Okay.
We'll put that on the shelf, have it there. I don't think, you may have to do the re-advertisement again.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay.
Everything.
Thank you for that.
Rick, can I clarify, the question Mike asked earlier said $100,000 for any unexpected repairs, but for the matches, the DEQ, as of right now, we kind of earmarked like 4.1 million.
Yes, now that's what, if you wanted to keep that in place, would be great.
Right.
And that would cover any unexpected problems that come up and still have your money to match when you get ready to go do it again.
Right.
I appreciate that, John. I was wondering about that same thing. John, any other comments? Members of council, any other comments? Doug?
Are there any stipulation on a date to spend that money?
But we're working with our auditor, but so essentially after we essentially, it's not going to be ARPA money anymore. It'll be just general fund reserve, so there won't be any restrictions or anything on that.
Anybody else
I have a
have
question.
any further to say?
So we've already almost paid Thompson, well, we already paid over $1 million. Where did that money come from?
Local finance.
Yeah, the interim financing, that we'd have to reach out and either extend that loan period or essentially do that until, because we can't close on that, that loan into the bigger
Is
project.
that VRS or you
No, I
go
think
It's
it's some
the
local banks.
local banks do it?
It's on the agenda, National Bank,
Okay,
That's a drawdown each month.
yeah, the drawdown.
Consent agenda,
And
okay.
under consent agenda item.
What
Are
was
we
that?
done paying you right now? Like, so are you guys going to continue to bill us?
We'll be through after tonight, and
Okay.
I got a letter in here, Seth, that one for the mayor to consider. It's a draft to send to us, telling us to stop effective tomorrow, put the project on the shelf, and no more billings. The other letter is a draft for you to consider to send to the funded agency. Tell them you'd like for them to hold the original offer and that you'll consider re-advertising next fall. No, but tonight would be it, so.
I think those are reasonable. Before I ask for any other information from council, in particular regarding direction, are there any other thoughts from any other members of the council?
One question, what was the interest rate that National Bank gave you?
That was before I got here. I'd have to pull it, I don't know.
Could you look that up, Heather, and let us know?
Yeah, we can get that, I can get that to you.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Anyone else have questions for Rick?
I hate to be here, Mayor, telling you this, but like I said, I'm struggling right now because I know a lot of folks, and I know y'all are struggling really hard, each and every one of you, with your budget and having to do things. But I don't want to discourage you. I know you don't want to hear this. You've got this offer on the table based off of your previous rate that you agreed to increase. You've got to do that to make sure you get this original offer.
Right.
So you're saying if we don't do that, it's because we're holding off, it could potentially put at risk
Jeopardize your original.
all of our money?
Yes, sir.
Well, I would
Human
ask,
Resources Authority are the one that's overseeing that. Okay.
thank you.
Well, that brings
I
up
would
an
ask
interesting
for more than a consensus of the council, for me to sign these. I would appreciate a motion from council approving Rick's recommendations so that I have the council backing to sign these letters. Did you have another question?
Yes,
Sam?
sir, I did. I'm just curious, and I know we'll get into this discussion in a minute, but, so if we raise the rate and there's this vast increase, over $1 million, I believe was the change from last year to this year, what are you going to do with that? Where does that money go? Are you going to put that to a reserve account? Is it going to be held into the,
So
water
there's-
and sewer funds?
There's two parts of it. One of the organizations to give us the financing, they said our rates were too low.
No, I understand
So we
all
had to
that.
get to that point, but then also the money will be in the reserves, because we have to build the reserves to that certain level. So, we've been slowly building those with the newer rates.
But you can't reallocate that money into anything else.
No,
That's
it's
the way I understand it.
water fund
Okay.
reserves.
It's a
But-
reserve fund, right, that's exactly right. And VRA controls that.
Virginia Resource Authority. For anyone in here who doesn't know all those acronyms,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's the Virginia Resource Authority. They have money. Any other thoughts you want to share with us, Rick, or have you covered it?
I think that's it, and I'd be glad to answer any other questions.
How much?
Any other Doug,
I'm sorry.
questions?
How much, I think what, the water rates went up 30%? Is that what?
I can't remember, Doug, I knew Mr. Brown had done them, but I just can't remember what they were. I knew he had looked at the rates, and he looked at what you were, and was looking at to pay the debt, and he wasn't working toward getting it at a level to get grant money. He was working to look at the level to meet your debt payment. Just by chance, getting to that level, you don't have $10 million laying around, so to get to that level got you to the level where you got grant money.
Yeah.
So, but I can't remember, Doug, what the amounts were.
Reasonable question.
What, one more well, I'm just adding this. I know you're asking us to raise the water rates, and I'm willing to vote for it only if the town stops taking money out of the fund. I think you're taking, what is it, Heather, 200 and some thousand for the general fund?
Are you talking about like?
Shared expenses. Yeah, supposedly shared expenses. I will vote for it if the town stops taking the money out and allocating it for something else. But that's the only way that I'll vote for an increase, if the council would agree to that.
And Doug, I think, I might be wrong, I was going to ask Rick, do you have these draft letters that you would like for me to look at in hand?
Yes, sir. It's in like, I think, tab
Tab 8
the
and 9,
last
I think
couple
are
of
both.
tabs.
Tab 8 and 9 is a big red draft on it.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind if I read those? Everybody
That
has.
will be fine. There's 1, 2 in each packet.
Okay, so it's tab 9 and tab 8 in the other book. Hold on. No, they're right here. So let me just read these for the benefit of council. It's a draft from the town of Richlands on our letterhead, June 15th, 2022. Mr. Rick Chitwood, Thompson and Litton Incorporated, P.O. Box 179, Tazewell, Virginia 24651, regarding wastewater treatment plant upgrades and improvements, VCWRLF project number C-515667, TNL project number 14249, Town of Richlands System DBP improvements and WTP upgrades, VDH WSL 00221, TNL project number 15270. Dear Mr. Chitwood, at the directive of the town council last night, please accept this as official notification to advise all contractors and suppliers that the town is officially rejecting all bids for the above-noted projects at this time due to the lack of available funding for the cost overruns. It is the town's intent to re-advertise these projects in the future, hopefully next fall, 2023, should the market conditions improve, not only in cost, but also availability of supplies and materials. Also, the town hereby directs TNL to stop all work as of today's date, June 15th, 2022, on these projects until further notice to move forward with the re-advertisement. Respectfully, Rod Curry. Now, the second letter, so this is open to all, is a draft letter. It'll have our letterhead on it, dated June 15th, 2022, to Ms. Kelly Ward, Director, DWSRF Program, VDH Office of Drinking Water, James Madison Building, 109 Governor Street, Room 633, Richmond, Virginia 23219, regarding Town of Richlands System DBP improvements and WTP upgrades, VDH WSL 00221. Dear Ms. Ward, please accept this letter as the Town of Richlands' official request to place the original funding offer from VDH, $3,489,300 loan and $450,000 principal forgiveness on hold to allow for a second advertisement for construction bids. We would hope to re-advertise